I called bullshit immediately after Team Ninja said that they are done with Nioh after Nioh 2. Lo and behold, here's the third. Another easy asset flip for a studio that just can't help itself. Nioh 2 was already more like an expansion than anything else. Nioh 3 does change some things, but from the demo I can see that the same problems remain next to the added bloat. Because if there is anything Nioh franchise needs, it needs more bloat, right, you delusional bastards? Takes some time to get back to a game like Nioh with all its complexities, so my gameplay is awful. Doesn't help that this alpha demo framerate is atrocious, which really affected the combat on PlayStation 5. Though it's only alpha. Kudos to Team Ninja for giving us the chance to play a demo of the alpha version, even though this is beta, but alright, not important. Framerate is going to get sorted. Nioh always played smoothly, and I expected the same from the full release. Nothing pisses me off more than Team Ninja games, I swear. Amount of bad developing decisions is staggering. Nioh 3 could end up being one of the most bloated games when it comes to mechanics and loot. Nioh 5, when we get to that installment, might get on par with free-to-play games when it comes to slapping mechanics on top of gameplay. But that was to be expected to anyone that is aware of what Team Ninja is doing for some time now. Take Ninja Gaiden combat, modify it, slap mechanics and systems on top of it and call it a new game or a sequel. One of the reasons why Nioh doesn't have its own identity. It could have had it, but they had to introduce Diablo-style casino loot with repetition that many of the modern games do as a substitute for weak content, and with it the originality was lost. Incredible gameplay reduced to skill spam grindy casino looter after the first playthrough. So here's Nioh 3 Alpha demo made many impressions. More of the same in the vast majority of things, yes. Same attacks, same weapons, same animations, same enemies, same PlayStation 2 era environment graphic detail, same story again with Oda Nobunaga, which means all the usual characters are going to be here again. And I'm gonna take a wild guess, there is going to be someone messing with Amrita who is going to be the villain. Look, I don't mind same enemies, weapons and such, because those were already great. But to have the same story regarding the same things over and over again with the same characters, no excuse. I know Team Ninja can't write anything meaningful, that is obvious even to a blind person, but at least try some other story, period, and characters. Let's skip the writing part because it's still a demo and we don't know the full story yet, but it doesn't take a genius to predict it's gonna be mediocre at best.
徳川名は竹千代。
ほう、かような逸材が眠っておったとは嬉しいごさんよ。
How's gameplay this time around? Same old pretty much, though I did see some improvements, even though Nioh 2 has in my opinion the best combat of all time in 3D action RPG genre. So what is there to improve, right? Most enemies seem to be slower a bit than usual, or maybe I am remembering it wrong. Doesn't matter, gameplay seems better than ever because of it. In this alpha there is high level polish and tightness already. Except for that crucible boss, almost every enemy didn't play cheap in any way. They were missing attacks due to very little tracking, which is awesome, because the positioning game became more important than ever. Combat against most normal enemies breeds, for the lack of a better word. It's not a chaotic, inconsistent mess like in Ronin. I was surprised positively how great the first boss fight felt. I've played terribly because it was a long time since I've played Nioh and due to the bad framerate, but even that didn't stop me from noticing highly polished attacks and movements. Though it was easy to exploit the boss's red attacks. Maybe it was meant to be like that to give players a chance to practice counter-burst mechanic. Throughout this demo I've rarely felt cheated, and enemies rarely felt cheap, which is a huge improvement. Though that is how every Nioh starts, which then turns into bullshit quickly, so I'm careful about praising the new old feel so much. Again, our hero can't swim for some reason, which leads to cheap deaths, and lots of ranged enemies that are very annoying mid-combat. So there's already lots of annoying cheap stuff, but not from the enemies themselves. And it got to more bullshit soon enough. Crucible, which is a new area mechanic with a bunch of small unlockable mechanics, had a really bad boss compared to every other enemy in the demo. Cheap as fuck. Suddenly, tracking attacks are turned to almost maximum, animation recovery too fast, spamming combos, long range grabs. Yeah, that's the Nioh I know. I get it, Nioh demo is usually very difficult because of limited upgrade options, but it's not about the difficulty. It's about how the deaths come, and it's always the same thing. Mid-attack retaliation. While I'm stuck in an animation, the enemy gives me 3 slaps and it's bye-bye. Infuriatingly cheap boss, which tells me to be very careful about Nioh 3 full release expectations that this demo created, considering the improved movement and generally a bit slower combat. There are big new changes, most notable samurai and ninja alternate playstyles with the press of a button. Really practical solution for quick switch loadouts with both playstyles having different benefits and downsides. However, why did this seem like a good idea? As I said earlier, Nioh doesn't need more mechanic bloat. I have thousands of hours in Nioh games, and adding another playstyle on the fly has overcomplicated everything unnecessarily. Nioh 2 was already overcomplicating things, and now this on top of all that. Combat was never the problem, so why keep messing with it by adding stuff? I'm all for modifications, which they did do for Nioh 2 and the Nioh 3 demo, but adding more and more mechanics is not necessary considering almost everything else was the problem. Gameplay in Nioh is superb, second to none, with only downside being the parameter balancing, like way too high damage output from enemies and the player, which leads to too much repetition. So why this samurai and ninja playstyle alternation? From a role-playing perspective, it makes zero sense to be samurai 1 second and then a ninja the other. Though it's very practical, but zero logical and role-playing sense. So much bloat in Nioh 3 that even button combinations overlap. Switching from samurai to ninja is also a burst counterattack. One of the soul cores allows us to modify how this works by making transition from samurai to ninja only when holding the button and not just pressing. Yay? Ingenious bloat. Block plus button press is now guardian skill. Gonna be interesting when they add parry and other combinations to block plus button press, because it might mess with the guardian skill attack. It's a demo and they will most definitely change some things around, to be fair. Check out this menu and all the sub options. This is without crafting and that god-awful equipment effect system, which is going to take most of the time anyway in the full release. This is the main reason, next to by now proven Team Ninja's incompetence, why I won't be playing Nioh 3. It's going to be another overbloated entry that focuses on the wrong things and where after the first playthrough game becomes menu simulator. Way to progressively drag down the quality of every Nioh game, and 3 is not going to be any different. Even though gameplay seems like it might be the best yet, that could be just because of the lack of upgrades and special skills in the demo. Though gameplay was never the issue. Another big change is the open world. After that disaster Rise of the Ronin, they've decided to copy that type of a world onto Nioh. Honestly, it seems like a better choice from what I've seen in the demo. No weak role-playing elements like in Ronin, but pure action zones. Much better than those god-awful maze level designs from previous Nioh games where you needed to find a specific ladder, ditch or a hole in order to progress the level. Summary is that Nioh 3 is going to be the most bloated Nioh so far, that much is definite, even from the brief demo experience. Combat in my opinion feels better than ever, even though it's way overcomplicated now with the new playstyle change option. Open world instead of linear mission structure in the demo at least seems to me like an improvement over the old linear designs. Most enemies seem more tight and polished, which improves the combat feel, but that one cheap boss left a sour taste and a worry about what the others would be like. Nioh being Nioh, I guess. I think Nioh fans are going to be very happy with the new Nioh. Another modification of a game that is going to have number 3 to it and where you can already expect 3 DLCs and whatnot. Because it's the Team Ninja way. More and more, but rarely actually better. It will be better than Ronin, without a doubt, but getting kicked in the balls is better than playing Ronin, their only bad game so far. Nioh 3 demo is a better overall game than Ronin, and it's an alpha demo. Patreon subscribes are merch in the description if you're interested in that sort of stuff, and thanks for watching.